What's good, everybody? I'm so glad we're here for another week, another round of the Convo Room podcast. I am super excited about our guest today. Cree Moore is a Philly native. He's a husband, marathoner, copywriter, cocktail enthusiast, and mixologist. He's the creator of Cocktails and More, and you can catch him in his recurring series, Men Belong in the Kitchen, on Instagram with his co-star, I'm sure he'll tell us all about as we dive into his creative journey. Cree, welcome to the Convo Room podcast.
Appreciate it, Mark. Thanks, man. Appreciate being here.
Yes, sir. I mean, man, you've got an engineering degree. You've been working as a project manager, and then you decide, hey, I need a creative outlet. I want to start writing. Like, talk us through what got you into this journey to become a creator.
Oh, man, that's a a deep one. I'll give it the shorter but still version that matters the most. So yeah, I went to school for construction management with in Temple University, was in the School of Engineering, and I actually through my fraternity, I'm a member of Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated. We hosted events and held programs and did so many different outlets, community services, things like that. And one of my fraternity brothers, who's honestly one of my best friends, we had a working relationship of hosting events for a while. And at one point, I remember he said to me, he asked my opinion on something we were working. And mind you, he was an engineer as well. He was like, "Hey, I'm gonna leave that to you. You're the creative." And I was almost assaulted. I won't lie to you. I was like, "The creative? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean by that?" Like, I didn't have a positive like connotation to it. Like, and as time went on, then this is before I met my wife and everything. But then when I got married, um, as I was still working in like the project management space for a construction company, I realized that I did like hosting events. I liked creating things. I liked working on recipes. I loved cooking. I love things that I can just really let my creative juices flow. And my wife really helped steer me in a direction. And she kind of backed what he said all those years ago. Like, well, you are a creative, baby. Like, you do these type of things. And then it came to a point where, though I was happy in my career because it gave me so much and I learned so much what I was doing. I said, hey, I think I kind of want to take a switch. And then from there, with the help of some friends, my wife, a few programs that I did, I was able to make a good switch to advertising as a copywriter. Um, and that was like a whole journey in itself. But then that's kind of the shorter version.
That is so dope. So you didn't grow up thinking like, oh, I'm gonna work at an ad agency growing up. Like, you just totally went the engineering route, had no clue you were gonna end up doing anything in writing.
No, not at all, bro. Like full transparency, man. Like I grew up in North Philly. Like my mother's an educator, and she just wanted us to go to school, get good jobs, make money to take care of ourselves. And
Mhm.
obviously, most things of are like doctors, lawyers, and in my case, was like an engineer. I knew those are three things. I didn't want to be in courtrooms all day. I didn't want to be responsible for anybody's life. So engineer was what was left over. And so just me going into that field, and I learned about construction specifically. And I said, okay, I like this more because it's still kind of in a creative lane because you're building, right? So it's
Yeah.
still almost
Mhm.
like that middle point between being a creative and still working in engineering. And that's what I knew. And anytime I thought of something that was like writing or art or creative, you think like struggling artists, or you gotta grind and
Mhm.
get it. At least that's how it was for us. I wasn't really educated to see that there were places you could make good money, make a good living in that space. And again, that's when once I got older, in my mid 20s, and I started talking to people and learning about different careers. That's when I knew like, oh, I was completely wrong. It was ignorance, if anything, just lack of knowledge. I did not know that there were these opportunities, and once I learned, I was able to kind of go for them.
Mhm. That's super dope. I love that. I figured that I assumed that there was like this, almost like a flicker of like, oh, a dream in the back the whole time, like, oh, I'm gonna do this one day. And you're like, bro, I stumbled into this. And that makes it even better because I feel like you did touch on it. I think people around you saw the gift, or they saw that there
Mhm.
was something there, and you kind of listen to, there's something here, and I'm gonna lean into that. Because I feel like for a lot of people who might be thinking about picking up a camera, doing something creative to either inform, entertain, or the above. Like I feel like you have to have some type of starter dough that gives you some type of entry point to become a creator. But so you decide, hey, I'm doing all this stuff for these companies and these brands, I'm assuming, and then one day you're like, hey, I want to do this for myself.
Yeah, so sort of, so how it ended up starting was, like I said, my mid-20s, I decided to take like my health and mental health journey a little bit more seriously, and I started going to therapy.
Okay.
And with that, it was actually a conversation with my therapist at the time, and she said something along the lines of like, "You should start like a YouTube." Oh, she said she's at my conversations were good. I had great outlooks on things, so you should start like a YouTube. And I was like, I guess maybe, but
Mhm.
what I started to do was I was like writing up what I thought was going to be a script for a video that I was going to record, and this I was like, well, it doesn't read as a script, more reads like an article, like a blog almost. And this is my, I think my wife, I think we were just dating at the time. And she was like, hey, you could publish it on, like, there are a lot of outlets. You can just publish your own work. And I started to do that. And I've written in the past, like dating advice and stuff like that when I was like in college, like really small stuff. But then I started to write more about like lifestyle, mental health. And at this time, I'm still working as a project manager and a project engineer. Like I'm still working at these companies. So I'm writing and I'm putting it out there, and it was getting me a lot of love, and and stuff was getting picked up by like online publications. And then that progressed, and then same thing with my kind of my mixology. I was always the guy that people, they wanted to know how to make a drink, whether alcoholic or non-alcoholic. What do I mix, right? And
Mhm.
it's been like that since I was a kid. I was the kid who would mix the Kool-Aid with the ginger ale with the Hawaiian punch to make something brand new. Like, so
Yes.
again, and again, I'll keep giving her. I'll probably say her name a lot, Janisha, my wife. Like she gave a lot of that too. She was like, "Hey, you really do this really well. We should record it." And I was like, "Okay, cool." Like, and then started doing that. And then so the way that I ended up going about it full time was I realized what I was giving more of my energy to, and I was giving it to the creative space. Um, and it was at one point where I actually was working both pretty heavily. I pretty much had two full-time jobs of working as a copywriter, working as a construction manager, and also I was still creating content. But I saw what
Okay.
I loved more. I saw like what I was able to do more of. And once I, talked to my wife about it, I said, hey, I like being a construction manager, but I'm really loving this creative side of me. Like she's like, yeah, I'm seeing something in you. It's really growing. Like we could really, you should really dive into that. I think we're in a place where we can do that. And there was some things we had to talk about. Of course, it's starting to go over the career, some fears that are there, some things we had to check off. But once everything made sense after a few months, it wasn't a quick turn. It was like probably about a year, like a good year transition
Mhm.
of us. And then eventually I was like, hey, I think I'm ready to take that dive to just full-time copywriter, full-time content creator. And yeah, we made that leap. So once I realized what I was giving more of my energy to and what was kind of filling my cup back up, that's when I made that decision.
Mm. Now, I'm curious for the people that might be thinking about taking that leap where they're looking for their next act. They're kind of hemming and hawing, and they
Yeah.
they they might have some golden handcuffs on because it's like you're
Hmm.
making some good money on one side, and then you're like, "Now, I can't find I can't
Nah,
find
I
this
get
over
it.
here yet." Speak to that, because you said that there were some fears, but, like, what were you afraid of? That for me, that came to mind when I made the switch. I was previously heavily involved in music, but I ended up working in like church a lot. So I was like always had like a full-time job. And so then
Hmm.
when I decided to step away, I had like kind of gotten to a point where I'm like, if I, step and use this communications degree, I don't know if I'm going to be able to, just easily transition.
Right, right.
And obviously, all of those fears turned out not to be true. But I'm curious for you, how did you address those fears and what were they?
Okay. So what you touched on one of the main ones, really just income. Income was probably the number one. At that time, I've spent already 7 years building my career in the construction management space. So my salary reflect that. um,
Mhm.
and then me starting over, no matter how good I am in the creative space and writing everything, I'm still starting over. You know, I still it's still a totem pole that I have to climb in a way. So, but I'll say that was really the main fear. And also, if I really love it, that was another thing. That was if I really loved it. That was like, if will I really want to do this? I would say the ways that I overcame both of those fears. First one, honestly, God, my faith, man. Like, you gotta step out on faith sometimes. You gotta just, walk by faith, not by sight. If you feel like God is leading you somewhere, follow, So I would
Mhm.
say that's like the umbrella. But
Yeah.
everything else that took part was I did have a partner. Luckily, I was blessed to have a partner who did make a good amount of money. So once we kind of looked at our finances and saw like, hey, because like I said, at one point I was balancing two jobs. So my income was like almost double. Like I was bringing in a good amount of money. So with that, I was able to kind of put some in reserve for
Mm.
just in case money, while at the same time my wife also was like balancing out like by making more herself. And then we got to a
Mhm.
point where we said, hey, we think we're comfortable with me leaving the higher paying gig and sticking with the one I'm not paying paid as much, but I can do it and we'll still be able to live the same way. We like our what is the word I'm looking for? Our means of living doesn't have to change.
Oh, yeah,
So we were
gotcha.
like, yeah, we don't have to change too much. Like we want to go from a two-bedroom to a shack. Like we're good,
Yes.
So we were so that was the one thing. So really just balancing out our books, making sure that I had money in reserve and things like that. And then also the if I'll love it part, I'll say this. I wanted to make sure that when I left my other career, I didn't want to leave on a bad note.
Mhm.
In case I had to go back.
Yeah.
So, like, and I don't know if I could. I'm not saying I can, but what I'm saying is I didn't leave in a point where they were like, you'll never work in this town again, bub. That didn't happen. It
Mhm.
was like, hey, you're going in a different direction. We understand. Hope everything works out for you. Just keep in touch. So
Yeah.
I'll say never burning bridges. Just making sure because you never know if you do want to go back. If you do want to, try that out and keep just get back in that field, you can. But yeah, I would say definitely I took a good year. That's what I did. I'd say I took about a good year while I was working both. I was able, and that was the thing too. I'll say that when I was looking for a career that was in copywriting, I was doing some individual work, some freelance work, and I was looking
Okay.
at companies as well. But I was making sure if I did work for a company, I was able to balance working for that company and still keeping my full time job.
Nice.
And that was something I was really tough about because I knew that that company would not be able to pay me as much as I was making at my other job. Me
Mhm.
coming in entry level or mid level, I had a senior level position. You won't be able to do that. So I just was strategically looking for ways that I could balance both. So I would say that's the main part too. I made sure something I could balance both so I could have that nice transition period and not just jump ship.
Mhm. So, I wanna jump all the way into your writing, and it seems like I think it's safe to say that you did end up liking it.
Yeah.
Uh, this I checked out your portfolio online, great body of work, and then, uh, you start it seems really being intentional about building your personal brand. So you did mention your therapist inspired you to kind of start a YouTube channel, but then you kind of decided to start writing and doing articles. But you did pick up the camera eventually. What was
Eventually,
that
right?
conversation? How did you start that?
Okay, again, that pretty much started with that started with my wife. Again, I'll say that she was like,
Mhm.
"Hey, you should really record like you making these cocktails. Like this is really great for you." And to say, man of finds a wife finds a good thing. So I'll give her credit there. She's great.
Mhm.
So she's like, "Hey, you should record." And I was like, "Sure, why not?" Right? I'm already in some of your videos, and then we started recording stuff and making those videos, and people really liked them. Like I didn't, I always say you sometimes we discourage ourselves by thinking of what we all like. And it's not always about what you will like. It's about what was for other people. And I say that even
Mhm.
like with my writing, like sometimes I'll write articles and it was just for me to express myself. Like, let me just get this out. I don't know who's going to read it, whatever. It might sound stupid and I'll put it out there and people will come and talk to me like, yo, that was so dope what you said. I didn't know anybody else felt this way, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, wow, like this is bigger than me. And I'll
Yeah.
say the same thing about even with my cocktail videos, like I do them for fun. I do them to test my knowledge. I do them to get to, like I said, keep the creative juices flowing. But a lot of people take it like, yo, like I was able to enjoy this beverage. I was able to make a batch of this at for my baby shower, like a bunch of stuff like that. Um,
Mhm.
so that's how I started, getting to that. And then once I was doing that, then kind of transition to the kitchen, because I cook a lot. Like I love to cook. It's like in my genes. My grandfather owned multiple restaurants in the city at one point.
Wow.
My mother cooks. Like so, I just love to cook. I started cooking in college for myself when I didn't have a meal plan. I had to learn to cook for me and my roommates. So again, my wife one day I was cooking for her, and her sister was at the house and she had a camera. And she's like, "I'm gonna record you cooking." And I said, "Okay, cool. Like, let me. I'm a flow. You do your thing." And she was for her it was practice too. And at one point, she said, at one point when dinner was ready, my wife was like, "That's why men belong in the kitchen." That's like a joke. And we just thought it was funny. Like it was funny. So she was like, "Yeah, that's why men belong in the kitchen." So, and then from there, she was like, I think we posted the video and it got a lot of traction. And we were like, "Yeah, we should kind of make this like a series. Like, let's keep doing this." And it took us a while, like from that initial video, probably was like a year between that and our next video actually starting the
Mm.
series. But yeah, that's when I started to kind of really say like, I have cool things that I think people like to see. And that's where it came down to. Again, that's why I say it's kind of bigger than me. I'm not saying I'm far from a superstar or like I don't look at myself like that. I look at like, hey, I do some cool stuff in the crib and I don't like having a bunch of people in my crib. So this is a way that they can see the cool stuff I do without them coming over.
Yes.
Like that's
Yes.
really it. That's kind of how I think of it.
I identify with that so much. It's like part of me, absolutely love being bougie. I love doing fun stuff. I love all the above. But low key, I'm an introvert. And so if you act, number
Right,
one, if you
right.
ask me to come, in my heart of hearts, I want to be there. But the other part is like, I ain't got time. And I definitely do not want a house full of people. And so, God's still working on me. But I say all that to say, it's super cool to hear you describe what you feel like people want, because I think the first thing I got when I was watching you and Janisha, did I say her name right? Make sure I say her name
Yes,
right.
she did. Yep,
Okay.
spot on.
I think there was the very easy approach to storytelling, which I feel like she really like brings to the table in terms of like how she opens some of the videos that I've seen with the men belong in the kitchen.
Mhm.
But from the storytelling, I think you have this very unique approach to like home and lifestyle content, which I feel like we see a bit more of like the urban male, especially black male, but there's a approach that you have that is very, it's just relatable. And I think for some reason, it does not feel, even though it's elevated, it doesn't feel out of reach. And so I
Mhm.
think what I enjoy about it is that you kind of feel like, "Oh, Imma try that." Now, I may not try it tomorrow. It might be, I might need to watch that video a couple times, but
Right.
it feels like, "Oh, I can do that." And it really and hearing you talk about your background and that you've been cooking for a while and all the above, I think that's why it comes across so easy and effortless. It doesn't feel like you're trying, and I think that is what's enjoyable about the content, but then also inspiring at the same time.
Nah, I appreciate that. Sincerely, that's the first time somebody's really kind of broken down what their POV of the content, man. And I appreciate that. And that's kind of my takeaway. Like, I know sometimes me and Janisha like will be talking or doing something, and she like, was that cheesy? And I was like, if it was natural. Like if like I don't care if it's cheesy, I don't care if it's cool. I don't, but like you said, I want it to just feel natural. Where it's like I'm myself in the kitchen, man. I don't like to. She knows, most people that know me know it's like the kitchen is like that's like my safe place. I have fun in
Mm.
the kitchen. I'm cool. I'm collective. I might be in there a long time. You might get hungry waiting for me to cook, but it's just where I chill. Like I'm real chill in the kitchen. If I don't got something, I'll figure out something else to put in it. Like, and again, that's why I don't want to take it too seriously. I don't want you to think I'm trying to be Chef Gordon Ramsay and kick you out the kitchen, but also I don't want to have some typical arguments that you'll see over. I don't know if you like. I watch a lot of cooking content amongst so many different people, and the main thing is like, "Oh, do you wash the chicken? Do you not wash the chicken? Do you like?" And I'm like, "Listen, I'm not getting into that, bro. Like, that's not what's important here. Yo, it's like
Yes.
this my food. Y'all not gonna get sick. Trust me. Like, we doing it right. I
Mhm.
know I've been prepping my chicken. Like, I don't want to get into those debates. I just want to have a good time. I'm in the kitchen. That's it for
Yeah.
me, and that's what my wife knows, um, and that's even why sometimes it's not even like always step by step like cooking
Mhm.
in our videos, like step like first do this, first do that. Because a lot of times I'm
Mm.
grooving. I'm just grooving. I'm like,
Yeah.
catch it, catch it. I'm doing this. Or even sometimes what I might say in the recipe might not be exactly what you'll see in the video. Because again, I
Mhm.
might have switched something up. I might was grooving. I might say put cayenne, but I didn't have cayenne that day. So you know what? I got some red pepper flakes. It was good enough. Like it did the job.
Mhm.
But yeah, no. So I appreciate that. But I just try to. We both do. We try to just keep it very natural, very organic, and just fun. Because again, the kitchen's a happy place for me.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it trustworthy. I think, there's so much, performative, and it's not to be it's not that it's a knock on people who might be
Right.
performative, but I think there's a lot of performative content. I think that there's a lot of content that really showcases, the creature comforts of home, people that have, like, immaculate stuff in their home, and it's all nice, but I think there's somehow, some way, some creators find a way to break through that wall and invite you into their space, and you feel like you're there. And
Mhm.
you feel like, "Oh, I can do this in my own life." And there are even, like, intangibles. I wasn't even planning to, like, go through this, but I just wanna even affirm, one, you and how you interact with your wife too, because I feel like there's a subtext there as well. And then hearing how you have talked about your wife in this interview, I feel like it makes sense. I think that there's something about, like, family and the care that you're putting into, like, how you're making home, and how that is inspiring for other people, particularly people who look like us, who it's like
Mhm.
you gotta have more references than it was when we were growing up. You gotta have more than the Cosbys, you know?
Right, right,
Like,
right, 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 right.
you gotta
Mhm.
have a variety of people, and I just love how there's just an honesty and there's a approachable way that you guys do things, and so I wonder how that approachable, trustworthy nature has been leveraged into you not only creating content, but kind of being that creatorpreneur. Have you made intentional steps to monetize, or do you feel like it's just happened?
Uh, no, we made intentional steps. I'm not even gonna broad like but I don't let the. But what I will say is, I think organic works, right? Because let's go back to the beginning of the conversation where I said I had a job where I was making a bunch of money, but like I
Mhm.
didn't love it, right? Like I didn't like I had a love, but it wasn't like I didn't feel it.
Mm,
So for me, it's like I can do just about anything. I truly believe that I can do just about anything. Am I gonna like it? Am I gonna be happy? Is it gonna make me miserable? Like I don't. That's where I don't. That's what matters to me. It's not about can I do it. It's more so like, do I want to do this forever?
mhm.
So, and the
Yeah.
reason why let's bring that back to the content. I don't want to put myself in a. I know how to. There are ways to make content and make money, but it might not be
Mhm.
something I want to do. You know what I mean? Like I could, like you said, certain things are, they could feel gimmicky or forced or stuff, or just copied, right? Like I could
Yes.
do at this point, how many videos have we seen of people doing food reviews in their cars? No offense to anyone that does do them. That's not what I'm saying. But like after a
Mhm.
while, I was like, I don't think that's for me. Like after I'm like, I'm tired of eating. Chick-fil-A came out with a third sandwich this week. I'm tired of eating it. Like it's like it, after a while, it's not what I want to do. So what I mean by that is I trying to keep it as organic and true to us and as to
Yeah.
myself and figure out ways that could be monetized. So when it does, it's like
Mhm.
I don't get sick of it. I don't feel like, wow, I gotta keep doing this. Like, I can do it away. And I'll see again, uh, what 10th time I mentioned her. Shout out to my wife because I've seen her do that with her content. Like, my wife, she does a lot of lifestyle, but she started off with fashion content. My wife loves fashion. Yeah, that's genuinely a passion of hers, and she's really good at it. So she's able to monetize that. So for us, for myself, I just figure I'm looking for ways to I look for ways to monetize. I've reached out to brands. I've definitely pitched stuff. Hey, this is this, but it's stuff that I actually can stand by, right? I'm not going to just
Mhm.
say it's people that reach out say, hey, we'll pay you to use this product, and I'll say I don't think I have the audience for that, or I don't think I am because I can't stick behind. I'm not going to just do it for a buck because then I don't know. People like, hey, remember that gadget you used? I don't remember it because I don't use it. I just put it in the video
Yes,
one day.
yes.
I actually don't use that gadget. But everything you see in the video, I've used, I like, and I'll be as transparent as I can. So, answer your question, yes, I definitely have intentionally tried to monetize, but I do it in a way that it's it's a way that I can stand by for as long as I'm alive.
I would love to double click on that. So, at what point did it make sense for you to start pitching, start reaching out, and then at what point did people start reaching out to you? Like, talk to me about the type of content you were doing and
Mhm.
like the numbers around maybe your following, engagement, all that good stuff.
So I would say as early as even add some years to it, I think as early as around 2021, that's when I was still more so like writing a lot. I haven't written in a while, or more so haven't published in a while. I'm always writing. But that's when I wrote something and it was picked up by a publication and it was monetized and I was getting money from like reads from views of the article. And
Mhm.
it was actually doing pretty well. I was getting a nice little residual check every month, just little deposits to my account. So I was like, okay, this is
We
nice. Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
this.
Just okay. This is what they call like residual funds. You know what I mean? Like so, passive income. But
Yes.
the but that was my writing, and then moving forward, once I started to actually do like a lot of our video content, um, you know, people would reach out to me or people reach out to Janisha, and there'll be brands that are like, hey, we'd like you to feature our glassware or feature our this alcohol specifically. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And we'll talk about a price. Sometimes it will be a price, sometimes it might be just a gifting, which is fine too. But I'll
Mhm.
say as early pitch early. The worst they can say is no or nothing at
Mhm.
all. You know what I mean? Like you never know what a brand or company is looking for. Um, and sometimes it might just be getting it in front of them, like just like pitch, put it out there. If you see something that you like, that's something. And again, my wife, I'll say, I'll show her something like, oh, I love this ice maker from this company. She's like, oh, like reach out to them. I'm like, for what? She's like, to see if they'll send it. Like, just ask. Like, say, hey,
Mm.
I would love to feature this in one of my videos. I'm like, oh wow, like cool. And I'm not gonna say it works every time. If I send out
Mhm.
10 videos, I might get a response from one. But
Yeah.
that one is the one that sends something to me. You know what I mean? Like it works. So
Mhm.
I don't think it was a following count. I think at that time, just to say I might have had 2,000 followers maybe, but and
Mhm.
of course, followers do matter for the brands, but I'm saying you don't know what brand is looking for what followers at that time. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like they might not want they might want a macro influencer. They might want somebody small, and then you could just build up your reputation from there.
I love it. And so you say pitch early. I love how you mention like being clear about what you want to do and doing what's authentic to you and not just basically chasing a check. Because to your point, it's that question of can you do this? Do you want to do this forever? I think then allows you to make content with longevity and content that is going to come from an authentic place. So balancing content that you're creating and now you've kind of got somewhat of a monetization strategy around it. What do you feel like really works for you as a creatorpreneur in terms of a process? Like, going from idea to
Mm.
hitting publish and then figuring out, how you might want to even engage with your audience after to make sure a post performs well. Like, what's the, I want to say a day in the life, but almost like I'm imagining like what do you call it? Like a conveyor belt or
Yeah.
like how they put together the Model T, in the
Yeah, yeah. Each
factory.
part that goes on down. I got you.
Yes.
I got you.
Like, how are you
The
putting that
assembly
together?
line. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Got you. I got you. So, man, I wish I could say it looks one way. I wish I could. Wish I could make it as simple as it does, but it changes, depends. Um, but I'll go around like a typical, like, or not a typical, but one more recently. So let's say it was, so we had last Black History Month, right? Last February, right? So for me, I love different spirits, but I definitely love Black owned spirits and Black owned companies. And I have a relationship with a few that are like really getting their names out there. So with that, I would think of, okay, which ones do I have? Which ones do I like? Right? And which one can I get my hands on? If it's one that I know someone that like I know the owner of that company. Like, hey, I know someone that like or someone that works with that company. I'll reach out to them like, hey, I'm thinking of a concept for a cocktail. Do you think they'll be fine with gifting me a bottle? I'm not even asking for money. I'm just asking for the supplies. Yeah, sure, no
Mhm,
problem. And that's so for them that's a free feature. For me, that's a free bottle, and also there's no strings attached really. This is just building a reputation. There isn't like a contract agreement. This isn't a you need to post at this time. It's none of that. It's very simple. Sometimes I'll do that, right? And the thing is, but it opens up that conversation because maybe they do want to do something that's, hey, we actually would love to feature you, and then that's when you can start talking, But
mhm,
sometimes just open a relationship. So then I'll go from there. I'll get my supplies, and then from that, I'll then think, okay, well, how can I make these cocktails and center them around Black History Month, right? So I'll be like, okay, well, I have this whiskey and what's something that, Black people love? Black people love a good iced tea. All right, cool. What if I did like a, peach iced tea, old fashioned? Okay. Then let me see. Let me try. Now I got a bunch of like cocktail books and stuff that I'll look through. I'll research some flavor notes, see what comes together. Also see what's easy, like easy-ish things that I want it to be something that my audience can get. I don't expect my audience to be mixologists
mhm,
or bartenders or people with a wide selection, just things that are easy. So I'll make it maybe about 4 or 5 ingredients at max. Now let's say I have about 3 cocktails. I have 3 good cocktails that I can stand by. Um, I have a videographer that I film with for my content. I wish I could film and edit myself, but I wasn't gifted with that ability or at least that patience.
mhm. Yeah.
So I'll contact my videographer. Hey, what's your schedule? Do you have time on the books? We'll book up a couple hours. He's like, yep, sure, we can do it. We'll come by. We'll film the whole thing, take a whole nice little day of it, film everything. To some people's surprise, I don't drink the cocktails afterwards because I'm still working technically. So I might store. I have ways of storing them for later. So I might store them for another day or something, or give them to Janisha or whatever. But I
Mhm,
don't drink them all the time. So pass those off, and then me and him will talk, and I'm like, hey, if you can get these to me by this day because I have this schedule. So then I'll build out my schedule. All right, let me post on. I want to post on this day, this day, this day. I'll talk with Janisha because sometimes we might have like men belongs in the kitchen, which then we'll kind of work into that. I'm like, okay, well, with the men belong in the kitchen, let's post on this day. Well, that means I should post on this day and this day.
mhm,
Kind of try to spread it out to keep active, and then my videographer get everything to me. We'll go through the editing process, make sure everything looks good. And then I'll, as he's doing that, I'm thinking of captions. I'm getting together the recipe, make sure the recipe is easy to follow. Getting together cover photos, kind of brainstorming up some other things, and then kind of just getting it out. Like just have them loaded up and posting them probably once a week and just getting them out when I can. That's
mhm.
like the typical way I pretty much go about it.
And so you're posting directly in the platform, or do you use a scheduler?
I post on the platform. I do all my posting like directly in the platform myself. Yeah, I'm not used. I know there are schedules, but I haven't just because I like my hands to be the last thing to touch before it's out. Like
Mhm,
any misread, anything that doesn't look right, or also I'm right there to change it if something goes wrong while I'm uploading it. Because of a
mhm,
scheduler, you might let it do its own thing, but let's say there was a typo that you didn't look at or something in upload writing, you're not there when it posted. You're obviously busy. That's why you have a scheduler and you don't catch it.
Mhm.
Um, then, something you got to fix later. So yeah.
I do want to dive in. I'm careful because I come from school of thought where it's like, look, we ain't talking about what's happening in the pockets now, but I do think for transparency, just understand like there are levels to this. Really understand the business model behind how you set it up. So I'm curious if you'd be willing to break down because you talked about like I think you might be one of the first creators I've talked to that works with a team specifically to create said
Mhm.
content. So, like, you're
Yeah.
outsourcing video for the recording and editing. So that means because if I know you based upon this conversation, you did the math. Uh,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
means um, you've got the investment of what you're doing to produce the content
hmm
and ultimately, yes, there's some intentionality behind it, but if you're posting once a week, you might have a level of investment and some of these might be branded, some of these might not be. So talk to me about the economics behind it. And if you're feeling willing, talk to us about like what you expect from brand deals as you are because you're up here putting that level of investment up front. Like, what are you
hmm
expecting from brand deals now at the stage that you're in?
Okay. So I could talk a little something and allude to a few other things, right? So for me, for me to grow my platform and for me to be marketable, right? I have to put things out regardless. So everything I put out is not branded and it won't be branded, but there's always an opportunity for growth. So I
Mhm,
say that. So even though, yeah, so though I have a videographer, me and him kind of have him just on a retainer, like, hey, this many videos for this amount. Um, that works for us. That cost works for us, and that can range. So even if I had to give that number, it could range like depending on your quality. If you can film yourself and you can edit yourself as a creator, like Janisha does a lot of like stuff herself. She's just gifted that way. I am not. But so I have him on retainer, and so we'll make videos. So for me, but when I work with a brand, depending on the brand, but let's say it's like a higher value brand, it it depends on things like the numbers I'm looking for from them. It really depends, right? Because it's like, what are they looking for from me? How many posts are they looking for? How many story posts they looking for? Are they looking for like just are they looking for like organic usage or looking for paid usage? Because if they're looking for organic usage, then they're not necessarily going to get anything from it like initially, but they're using paid usage, then it's like, well, I'm gonna need, you gotta throw a little extra on top of there because you'll be getting some money. Um, and also like if they want exclusivity, which I've done with, so like if I've done deals with brands who have said like, hey, once you post, you can't post anything with a showing as liquor brand for 30 days after. So then
mhm,
so like I said, right, I post regardless to build up my brand. So now you're kind of hindering my building. You got to pay for that, right? So then I'm like, so then I'll have that included too. Like, hey, my exclusivity rights for every 10 days is this cost, like, and then I'll add that in to on top of whatever the base rate is. So it's kind of hard to give an exact number to be super honest because it really just depends on what the deal works out. But I think what's important is, and like you said, I've done the math, and I still do the math. It's important to what's what I'm looking for, to quantify everything. And what I mean
mhm,
by quantify everything, quantify your time, like figure out what's your hourly rate as a creator, just in general, period, for you to do something. It doesn't matter if it's just showing up. It doesn't matter if it's recording. What is your hourly rate? That is your base. And then you add everything on top of it. Like, okay, hey, we want you to make a cocktail. We want you, here are the rest. We want you to come up with a concept. You want me to come up with a concept? That's more time. Now, if you get me a concept, there's less time because you're just telling me what to do. But if you get me a concept, there's more time. Stack that on top. Okay, well, now we need you to get the ingredients. You need me to get the ingredients? That's another cost. I'll get them, but you got to pay for them. Add that on top. Okay, great. But then now we need exclusivity. We don't need you to post anybody for 60 days after you post us. Well, that's my exclusivity clause. Now we're adding that in. That's much time. And then that's where you kind of are just building out. So I can say I've done deals from to give a range. I've done deals with some companies where I've only charged them a couple $100, like literally $200. Smaller brands. I might have known the person that was working with them, and I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do this because again, I'm gonna film anyway. I like the product. Let's go for it." And I had some that were like, "Hey, we need a quick turnaround, but it's a bunch of clauses. We need you to do this. We need you to do that. It's a big brand. I don't know them personally. This is all business, and that can go up to the like 4, 5 digits, depending
Mhm.
on the deal. That could hit to like that 10,000 mark, depending on exactly what the deal is. And again, that comes with a lot more red tape and a lot more workarounds, but it's worth it. So it really ranges, I can say, but it's all about, like I said, I think the main thing is to quantify as much as you possibly can, and that makes it easier to work your deals.
Mhm. Thank you for giving us the lay of the land there. Final question before we go. I really want you to speak to the early version of Cree who was thinking about like, you know what? It maybe I want to speak to that year gap between when you first did the Men Belong in the Kitchen and then you decided at some point, you know what, let's just really give this a shot. Like that person who's on the fence, the younger you who might be kind of like hemming and hawing, if you will.
Hmm. Hmm.
Talk to him, and what would you tell him based upon what you know now and what you have experienced today?
Oh man, I would say be yourself. I would tell them to be yourself, to do what you love, and don't be afraid to take the leap. That's probably the main thing I'll say. Don't be afraid. That's probably the main thing. Don't be afraid to take the leap. That's something I struggle with. Sometimes it's I have trouble starting because I worry about stopping. I know that might sound weird, but I get so worried that
No, it
well,
doesn't.
yeah, like I don't want to start because if I don't finish, then it's just like I just wasted my time. So I might as well not start. But I think and again, I guess in the final question, I'll give the final shout out. Janisha is really good with that. She's not that woman is like I don't say she's fearless because my baby be having fears, but she gets through it. But like
Mhm,
she knows how to like just do. Like she's such a doer, more of a doer. I'm a thinker. I think a lot. I'm more strategizing, theologic. Like she's like a doer. So with her, she's like I just give her an idea. Hey, man, I'm thinking of doing this. Okay, let's do it. What's stopping us? So
mhm,
I say to my old self, take the leap. Just do it.
mhm. Yes, other than I think, titling this "Marry Well," I think the that is a fitting note to end on. It's like, just do it. Take the leap, do what you love, believe in yourself. Thank you so much, Cree, for joining us this week. You are
Okay,
welcome
appreciate it.
anytime on the Combo Room podcast. And I just want to thank y'all for joining me again this week. And I cannot wait to scroll through the feed. See you again pretty soon, bro. Until then, what? Before we go, I need to make sure because we haven't said it. Let everybody know where they can follow you, and then we'll be out.
No problem. Okay, you can follow me on Instagram, my main platform, at Cree Moore, and you can also follow at Cocktails and More. That is my strictly cocktails page, and between those two, you'll see everything that I have as far as writing, cocktails, none belong in the kitchen. New episodes coming soon, and that's where you can find me.
Yes, sir. Have a good one, bro. Appreciate you so
You
much.
too. Appreciate you.